All right, guys, we are back. That's loud. With another GEKISHIN SQUADRA video. This is a tier list video for the mid-season, season 4 tier list. This is season 4 mid-season tier list. I made one last time and around the end of season 3, right before SQUADRA Blast hit. And this is what it looked like at the time. We got Vegito, Kefla, and Oob at the top of Z tier as the top DPSs. We had Ulton and Hit both battling for the top tech spot, and we had Bardock and Vegeta following behind as the top tanks, and Mini Goku in Z tier just as a precaution. You know, I think he had a lot of arguments to be in Z tier, enough to be there and not be in top of S, for example. And this is what the other characters looked like at the time. Now, season 4 changed a lot of things. A lot of characters got buffs. A lot of characters, a couple characters got nerfs. But the divine draws really also changed things as well. So this is what my season 4 mid-season tier list looks like. And starting off, let's go with the obvious top 1 DPS. I don't think there's any argument to say that Super Saiyan Goku, base Goku, is the best DPS in the game. He's good into everything. He's good into every divine draw, except for Medi Respawn and Search Trap, which he doesn't really care about, either of them. But yeah, he's very clearly good. He's good on skill 2 cooldown reduction because he gets infinite Kaioken Meteor's hammers. He's good into Super Start, as always, because he has the giant Meteor Hammer, which lets him do more Kaioken Meteor Hammers that have massive range and do massive damage. He's good on Cloudy Cloak, because then he can run Backstab and again have infinite Kaioken Meteor Hammers. He's good into Mystery HP because it lets him run away and also sneak in massive Meteor Hammers. He's just all around really, really good. And of course, infamously, he's on the best hammers comp. Alongside Kid Gohan or a Majin Buu, he can get hammers and combined with Kaioken, deal massive tower damage, ending games in 5 minutes. I had a friend end the game sub 5 minutes, in 4 minutes, I think 4:30. Massively strong. Undisputed top DPS at the moment. Unsurprisingly. Now you may be wondering, who's the best tank right now? And I think God Vegeta is pretty clearly the best tank. But that's just because everyone else got nerfed into the ground. Like, we have Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, who had his kicks reduced. We had Bardock, who got his hands chopped off, who I'm going to put at S tier right now. He's probably closer to the bottom of S tier. But God Vegeta is just really strong right now, because he gets to take away people's attack, he gets to suck people, he gets to stun people, well, snare people with his skill 3, and of course, his full map ult stun, which is very strong right now, and I don't think anybody would argue the fact that he's the best tank in the game. But he does have very clear weaknesses. Of course, him being very weak to burst damage and range damage. He can clear those gaps somewhat, and especially with a helper like a Spopovich, but I think he is, if he gets nerfed any further, he might just drop down to like A or B tier. He's in a precarious spot for a upcoming nerf, in my opinion. Next, let's talk about techs. Who are the best techs right now? Honestly, a lot of them are pretty equal with each other, like Kid Han, Old Han, I would put both in S tier. They're both pretty arguable. Kid Han's just good all around. Old Han, he did get nerfed for the majority of the player base, but if you've practiced enough with the skill 2, he's probably the best tech. But from a general perspective and for an ease of use perspective, he's definitely much weaker than before, because you can't automatically target people with this skill 2, and that makes his combos a lot harder. and makes his stunning a lot less consistent too. I think Hit is in Z tier, but he's probably gonna fall off pretty soon, especially after Kid Buu releases in a couple days. I'm recording this about 5 days before he releases, so and this is supposed to be the mid-season tier list before he drops, so I'm not surprised if he gets kicked off and he goes to like A tier or B tier. But right now he does have very good team fight potential with his ultimate and his blinds, but there are use cases for other techs to come supplant him. Like Kid Han has lots and lots of damage support and has a stun in his seal 2 and does a good amount of damage on his ult, and that is also a stun. Ultan, still very good, has debuffs, has stun capability, of course, and a high damage ult. Buu, I'm going to put in top of A tier for his normal usage, but with the skill 2 cooldown reduction and also with super start, he's definitely higher and maybe even Z tier, especially on skill 2 cooldown reduction where it's basically mandatory to run Buu. But he's top of A tier. I'm going to put 17 also in A tier because he's very good right now. Post buffs. It's just that Kid Han is looking a little bit better and Old Han could end up being better. He has an okay stun, a lot of support, but and has a way to counter Kid Han in a hammer scenario, but not exactly better all around. So, but I will put him in A tier because he's still a solid character and you can easily run him. Let's head back to the DPSs. Let's go to the ones at the bottom. I think 18 is probably C tier. I'm gonna put Topo next to her, but I'm kind of iffy because Topo is good into God Vegeta, but it's only against God Vegeta. Not exactly the best matchup in general. But he's gotten, like, he feels squishier than before because everyone is doing more damage. And God Vegeta, if he gets a little bit of help, can just shred down Topo. And Dabura, surprisingly, is actually higher than both of these. Dabura goes better into God Vegeta, but also Bardock, and he's a bit easier to use than either of these. I think 18 is, with a skilled enough player, is definitely better than Dabura. There's no question. But against if you're like trying to 1v1 any of these characters up here, or just any of the characters in general, if they have solid barrier, you have to wait like 2 entire seconds for your kit to be of any use, which I think is a pretty detrimental, and makes her a lot harder to use. And of course, with how big everyone's AoEs are in late game, she's even harder to use there because she's so naturally squishy, and you have to build her a bit more bulky to compensate, which hurts her overall value as a DPS. And let's have a look at more DPSs. I think Bojack he's good because he has very good defensive capability, but that ult just holds him back so much. He has like offensive capability, especially on skill 2 cooldown reduction and super start, but it's not enough to put for me to put him higher than, like, say Kale. That's not Kale. Kale, who I think is solidly A with her high burst, being able to counter characters like Vegeta and any of the other characters that will be going up here. But she's also very squishy on her own, and she can be taken out pretty easily. Just a little less dependent on building, like, say, solid barrier on 18, for example. And I'm actually going to put the previous big 3 up here in A tier as well. Now, I'm not quite sure about the order of this, but I think like, these 3 are still very good characters, and in the right scenarios, they would be strong. But Vegito, I think, is the weakest performance out of all of them, just because he's not very good into the meta right now. Everyone has more range. Everyone has similar mobility. He has good mobility with his targeting, but Again, it has to target a person. It's all right, but he just doesn't have the burst. He doesn't have the burst or the range. Meanwhile, Oob has all of those things, but they just aren't enough to deal with God Vegeta, because he is because Oob is primarily a dot character, and to deal with Vegeta you need a more burst oriented approach. Kefla has that burst oriented approach, but just can't escape God Vegeta and can't deal with him fast enough, even though she has decent burst. But with the cuts to burst and with the cuts to her mobility, she's a lot harder to use to fight against God Vegeta effectively, and of course the other characters as well, especially the other DPSs who have more mobility or more range that allows them to circumvent Kefla. Like, for example, God Goku, who has a very clear weakness in having no mobility, but in exchange has 2 billion range and decent burst potential, while also being very consistent with his damage over time with his dot damage. So very consistent high output damage with burst options allows, and the burst to be very easily applied, since it's just a dot from his skill 3, like additional damage from his skill 3. He can also just take down Kefla somewhat easily and can just not engage Kefla as well. Another dot burst character that is similar to them, but just better in every way, is Daima Goku. Daima Goku, to me, very clearly is in Z tier, not just because he has burst, not just because he has damage over time, not just because he has mobility, but because he has also defense in his skill 3, being able to just spam his skill 3 times, take 0 damage because it has 90% damage reduction, and run away at like 50 miles per hour compared to everyone's 20. He has everything in his kit. He has secure, massive iframes, massive damage. He has everything. And I think he's pretty clearly also Z tier now that everyone else has fallen. Now, Frieza is alright, in my opinion. I feel like he's a bit underrated and overhated, because everyone seems to have a hate boner out for him, thinking that everything he does can be easily countered. His skill, like his Zarbon and Dodoria, his Dodoria's gotten a lot more HP, and Zarbon, while not the tankiest thing in the world, with good placement and with good skill, a good Frieza can easily take down a lot of teams and can help his team push into towers really easily. And of course, his boss secure potential has always been good, especially with the buffs to Epic Hunter that the card received this season, from I think 50% to 75% damage increase for the card, which lets him secure bosses much faster and gives him a much more defined role. But that doesn't mean he can't take towers, he can't do massive damage with his ult, especially now that they've given him more damage on the ult, but taken away the attack down debuffs, which I think has made him more specific in his role, but I wouldn't say he's bad. He's usable, which I think is what the A to B tier means right now. I don't think B tier or even C tier means the character's bad. It just means that they're less viable into other characters, especially as we go up in this list. This is especially true for Baby, who's in the D tier because frankly his matchups are just terrible. He has low HP, and his only reliable escape tool is in his skill 3, where he has to jump into someone else's body, and that's how his sustain works. He has to be in someone else's body to heal them, to give them a bit more damage, as well as a lifesteal. But him by himself is just not very good. He can't do anything. He's low HP. He just gets mowed down easily by every other character in the game. It's just not a great meta for him, because everyone has more mobility, everyone has more range, everyone has more burst and general damage than he can take as a tank. And I hope the meta changes to be better for him. His buffs, this season were very substantial and would make him very good if not for the fact that the meta was just simply unsuitable for him. It's just not a great place for him right now, which is why he's in the D tier. With him in the D tier is Cell. Cell could be a good character. He's the most potential man out of every single one of the characters in GEKISHIN SQUADRA, especially under the divine draw of skill 2 cooldown reduction, where he can do magnificent things to people's backs. But outside of that, he doesn't provide as much value as the other tanks, especially since they pseudo nerfed him with his ult, where they made it faster to activate, which means his energy immunity goes down faster for his teammates, which can be good and bad because it lets him, of course, take a 1v1 easier. But then Super Saiyan God Goku can just hit him with an orbital laser strike and he'll die. Or he'll just he actually just barely misses preventing a secure because the ult goes down. It's frankly not like the best change they made for him specifically for preventing boss secures. And I hope that they change him in a way that makes him better in his early game, but doesn't make him like utterly broken. Because it's really hard to do that with Cell in particular, I think. And I hope the Bandai balancing team finds a good balance for that. And now let's just check back on this list. There's been a lot of changes. You know, I had perfect Cell up here, but before, because he could very easily block U-bolts, but now he's gone down all the way to the D tier, you know? And Gotenks, who had his own tier before, I would say is actually good enough to make himself be in the B tier, to make his way up into the B tier. Because all the other techs are more balanced right now. And a lot of the super strong techs from last season have lost a lot of their power, equalizing the balance a little. And with the buffs to Gotenks' ghosts, he actually has some viability. A lot of abilities are blocked by his ghosts simply because they're just non-piercing projectiles. And he has found some usage. Especially combining with God Vegeta, his ult can do a lot of damage and seal everyone's abilities, combined with the Galactic Donut as well. And a lot less CC immunity running around, since Broly's less popular. Speaking of Broly, I think he is also in the B tier right now. Just below Bojack. He has found some usage, and his ult can still be used for secure, but he's just one big guy with a big target on his back and not much energy defense, which is what a lot of characters are running right now, energy damage. I will say him with Skill 2 cooldown reduction can be really good into this meta because there is still a good bit of CC, like with Hit, like with God Vegeta, like with Gohan, like with Boo, Skill 3 kind of. It's a surprisingly good meta. It's a surprisingly okay meta for him. But I wouldn't say he's like ridiculous right now. Another character who got a major glow up, but just isn't in the right meta right now, is not God Vegeta, Super Saiyan Base Vegeta. He had a lot of changes to his kit, a lot of good changes that made him viable, and I think have improved his viability a lot, but just isn't in the right meta right now. His skill 2 does still prevent rush attack blasts, but the meta is in a more spell casty situation right now, and even if he tried to fight people up front, he wouldn't be able to deal with God Vegeta as well. And while the slow from his skill 1 is really good, and he does have a decent armor gain, again, compared to God Vegeta, it's not quite enough tanking. And his main armor gain is too reliant on his skill 3. His ult is very good. His big AoE gives him a lot of armor and now does a lot more damage. But it's just not enough, frankly. compared to the other tanks, like Cooler, who has iframes, like Vegeta, who has stuns and can also block projectile based energy attacks, and has still has his ult, which is still fine. It's still good. It's just hard to run base Vegeta right now. And Cooler, to an extent, has dropped quite a bit just because a lot of burst that and a lot of consistent damage that he can't dodge as easily with his passive, and not a great matchup into other tanks like Vegeta, a God Vegeta. And Bardock isn't as commonly seen anymore, which means Cooler loses value as well. Because everyone has so much range and so much burst, Zamasu has also lost a lot of value right now. I would say he's probably in the C tier next to 18 and around Topo. Zamasu, there's just too much range and too much burst and too much mobility that Zamasu can't catch up to, but can tank through. He can still tank through things, but at a certain point, you're not going to be able to catch up. And you're just going to be dead weight, just running into towers and dying endlessly. It's not the best situation for him right now. I hope the meta does change a bit more once Kid Buu releases to be less ranged focus, but it seems like for the whole season, with God Goku probably staying strong for the entire season, we're probably not going to see that change until season 5. But we'll see then. I think the changes that they made last season to Zamasu, when he was made as an alternative to Bardock, I think those are good for that meta, but just not right now. Everyone has too much range and too much burst. But a victim of even though this guy has a lot of burst, Piccolo has actually dropped a lot in his rankings, in my opinion, because this guy just doesn't have consistency. It's not about the range or burst for him. It's more about the consistency of damage that he's able to do throughout a team fight and throughout a boss. Especially since for bosses, he needs his teammates to be in the boss arena, and he needs his teammates to do a lot of damage to the boss because the bosses have too much HP now. This is especially true for when like he reaches level 11. He might not have level 11 by second boss. If he does, that's good for him. But for most people, he'll probably be around level 11 by third boss. And by third boss, it could be Ribrianne or Jocko. And if it's Ribrianne, he can't one-shot her. Especially not with 44,000 HP. And with Jocko, there's so little HP at that point, it's going to be hard for your team to gain an advantage in the boss arena. So Piccolo is a bit harder to use. I think he's still workable. Like, you can still use him. He's just significantly harder to use right now. All right, who's next? I'm comparing it to the list I made earlier. Let's talk about Krillin. What a poor soul. He got a strain nerf in earlier this season, start of season 4, and then they changed him to be a little stronger, but it really hasn't changed anything. Everyone and their mother has energy damage that lets him break his bombs, especially AoE energy damage, like with Vegeta, like with Vegito, like with Oob, like with Kefla, like with Goku, God Goku, like with base Goku, like with everyone and their mom. And Super Saiyan 3 Goku, who terrorized him in Season 1. Alright, sorry, I had a phone call. What was I saying? Alright, Krillin. Everyone and their mom and Super Saiyan 3 Goku, who terrorized him in Season 1, can break his bombs. He can't, and like, you can try your best to place your bombs in areas where they're harder to break, or like behind the enemy you're fighting and stuff. And that'll help for a while. But at a certain point, whether it's the mid to late game where you're actually supposed to participate in the team fights, he can't do much except flash your enemy. But that's only if you don't die immediately to everyone's massive AoEs. And if you manage to land the flash, they just dismiss and they come back in, fight. He does have a niche in skill 2 cooldown reduction, but so does everyone else. And there are frankly just much better tech options, especially in skill 2 cooldown reduction. Mainly the King, Majin Buu. And he's just really difficult to use properly. Especially if you don't use barrier. Because he's just so squishy for attack as well. We're down to 3 characters, because Buu isn't out yet. But 3 characters, huh? Caulifla, post buffs, is pretty solid. I will say, pretty strong. I think she needs a little bit more of a push. Same with Cooler, same with Vegeta, to make it up into the S tier, where they're viable and have weaknesses, and they're like, where they're like just really, really strong. I'm gonna put her in the A tier. She is definitely good. In my opinion, better than Cooler and Vegeta right now, just because of how her taunt works and being able to redirect people. Works really well against God Goku, works really well into some other characters, but I think they might have to adjust her DR values a little. I think her damage is quite solid. If they make her a little bit more bulky, especially giving her more base stats, I think she could be very good. Like, as good as Bardock. I forgot to do this. Oops. Alright. Alright, who's next? Who's next? Let's talk about Trunks. I like Trunks. He's very good. Especially with skill 2 cooldown reduction. He's very good. Can murk enemies really well, especially with the increased HP threshold for the increased damage. He can one-shot enemies pretty easily with a couple snowball stacks. Using his skill 1. You can one-tap. I've seen things happen with Trunks where you think he's like, whoa, I think I have enough HP, and he just one-taps you with a skill 1 and you're dead. And you're 20 miles away. Because the range is so big as well for his skill 1. Especially at level 3. You can secure Kais pretty easily and get back to the very back and get the back Kais. You can farm very cleanly and quickly. He's very good at snowballing and can pretty regularly get to level 7 before first boss. I think he's a very good all-around character. Doesn't have more range and doesn't have more range than he doesn't have more range than Goku, than God Goku and Super Saiyan 3 Goku, but he does have decent mobility, like good mobility, not quite to 3 Goku's level, but good enough in a fight, which is more important than 3 Goku's IT in my opinion, that he can like jump around and pretty comfortably dismiss and also come back in for kills to refresh his passive. Alright, Gammas are alright. They're skill 2 cooldown reduction merchants. Otherwise, they're an alright DPS. They are like decently tanky, but I'd say for like team fights, they're kind of outclassed by Vegito, especially since his iframes are more impactful. And Core Breaker isn't as good as it used to, just because before it was used to like secure boss, but Ribrianne is just so much HP, and Jocko, it is harder for Jocko to dodge the Core Breaker now, but he can still dodge the Core Breaker. It's not that great. But good on skill 2 cooldown reduction, I will say. Very good. They have so much HP during that. They can heal. Pretty bulky. I think they need more tweaks to their kit to stay up in the A tier. Maybe a bit more bulk from the skill 1. Maybe they could adjust the HP values, but otherwise, they're solid. I will say it's more so a product of like the meta. That's the reason they're in the B tier. Like everyone has more range than them. Everyone has more. Everyone has similar, if not more, burst than them. And their mobility has always been kind of middling. So, if they had more mobility, that would also change things. I just wouldn't suggest both at once. But yeah, this is my Season 4 mid-season tier list. If you have any differing opinions, please let me know in the comments. But this is my tier list. I'll make an updated one at the end of this season, right before Season 5 launches. But until then, I'll try and upload more videos, maybe some tournament videos. I will be hosting 2 tournaments. One on the 26th, one on May 3rd if it gets approved. I think it did actually get approved. Yes, it did. On May 3rd and on April 26th. The one for April 26th, the registration for that is live right now. So if you want to join in and play that tournament, you're welcome to. But otherwise, I'll see you guys next time. Bye!